G'day, Karen Lee here, coming to you live from Kaz's Corner with another episode of The Crippled Finger Cook. And today's episode is roasted cauliflower soup. And I've changed a recipe that I found on Google, love Google, because you don't have to stick to what a recipe says. You can do whatever it is that you want. It's your choice. We've got choices in life. We can do what we want so long as we're accountable for the end result. And my end result was pretty good. So I chose to do everything in one pot. And the reason I'm doing that is it makes life a lot easier for me. And then I can present it to you, and then you can have someone else who is not very au fait in the kitchen or who has got any issues, that they can still go ahead and do it. And it's much simpler. You still produce a really nice meal, but it's a lot less hassle. So what you will need for this to begin with is a nice roasting pan. Now, you don't have to have any other skillets, and also you do need a blender. Now, somebody might need help with the blender or a stick blender. However, that's probably the only thing that maybe somebody might need a little bit of help with. I've got an older Thermomix, which is a TM31. It does the job for me. So the other ingredients that I had were half a cauliflower, which is about 500 grams, and I roughly chopped that. I added a little bit of oil to the bottom of the pan, and I chopped it up roughly and popped that in. Now, I had in the fridge a couple of bags of already pre-chopped celery, so I used those, and it worked out to about 250 grams. If you had an onion, it would be great if that was chopped and added in. However, I had no onions, so I did something a little bit different, and I'll tell you about that shortly. Instead, I'll continue on with the other ingredients that you need. I also had some fresh lemon juice, and I squeezed that, and it was about a quarter of a cup that I ended up using. Now, that's the main ingredient. Now, you can sprinkle salt over the top, you can sprinkle spice, you can sprinkle, if you wanted, cayenne or a little bit of curry. It's totally up to you, the flavourings that you like. Now, you'll also need some stock. Now, I've got the ingredients that are listed up there, and I'll put a download link for the PDF so you can actually keep it on hand and have a look. But really, it's actually quite a simple recipe to follow, and you'll be surprised at how flavoursome this tastes. So what we do then is we put a bit more oil over the top. We've got our onions, our garlic, we've got our celery, and of course we've got our cauliflower, and make sure that they're all sort of lovely and basted with the olive oil. And then whack it in the oven at around about 180 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on Celsius. This is what happens when you do it live. Gosh, you'd blow up your kitchen, I think. And so 180 degrees Celsius or 190 degrees Celsius, and pop that in the oven and roast it away for around about half an hour. It depends on how big the flowerets are that you're using and how brown you want it. So take them out, make sure that they're still, getting covered with the nice olive oil, and you can pop them back in for 5 minutes if you want to make sure that everything's sort of browning up the right way and that your onions are turning over so that they're not just getting burnt in one spot. So that's the only thing. You can take it out halfway through, turn them over, pop them back in. Now, because I didn't have an onion, I used fried shallots. I used 2 caps of the fried shallots, and I added that to the pan. Live video goes funny sometimes. Well, when I was actually recording this while I was cooking it, I forgot to press the record button while I was pouring in the shallots. So I did actually do that, and I'm just showing it to you afterwards because they're already in that mixer. So transfer it all into your blender of choice, and it doesn't have to be a blender that heats or anything like that, because you can heat it on the stove if you need to. My TM31 from Thermomix heats as well as blends, which is really beneficial for me. So I turned it on to speed 9 for 1 minute, and that blended it all up. And I added, prior to doing that, water just to cover the top, which you'll see that I'm doing there. Now, that was because my Thermomix, if I fill it too full, likes to spurt out everywhere. And so you actually do need at least 1 litre of stock in this. So it makes 2 litres of soup. So after I'd blended it up, I had a look at it and checked out the consistency, and I knew that I needed to add more water. So I added more water or more stock, or you can add milk. It depends on how creamy you want it. And I made sure that it was at the 2 litre mark. And that makes for about the right consistency for me. Now you can have a thicker consistency, you could have a thinner consistency. You could do these in different batches and you could add different flavourings before you blend it. It's up to you. You can be creative. Well, why not? It's your recipe. And that's the whole thing about cooking. You can be creative. It's your choice for you to actually choose to do different things with it. See, I rarely ever follow a recipe. I can give you a recipe. I just tend to decide what it is I'm going to cook. And I've got the basics of cooking from my history from my beautiful mum, God rest in her soul. And she had taught me an awful lot about the basics of cooking. So I don't tend to need to go to a recipe book for that. If you feel more comfortable with that, that's fine, because we all have to start somewhere. And starting at the beginning, we're all going to suck. And until we do it a few times, it's okay to suck at something. You know, it's a bit like doing a live video. You can really suck at it when you start. I hope I don't suck at it quite as much as I used to. Now, getting back to the recipe. Once I had made sure that I blended it up, I decided that I wanted to heat it for around about 10 minutes because I wanted to taste it. So I popped it on for 10 minutes on about speed 4 on my Thermomix, and that was enough just to make sure that it was swirling and not sticking to the bottom. And I didn't need to keep cooking it because it had already cooked pretty much in the oven. This was just giving its final sort of cooking and settling. So it was only on 90 degrees. I didn't need it to boil or anything like that. And especially if you're going to add some milk or cream, you don't want your milk and cream to boil. So be careful of that if you decide to do this on the stove. So after that, then I have my soup ready. And I poured it into the glass bowl, which you can see. And then later on, I added some nice cut up parsley, and I had a double of cream to add to it. Might as well taste extra good. But again, it's up to you what it is that you want to add to your final thing. Now, I recommend adding a really nice recipe with some nice crusty bread to go with your soup. So I've done recipes for bread previously, or I might just actually do another one, which I'll add to the next Crippled Finger Cook that you can incorporate into this meal. So I hope you've enjoyed that today. It's a beautiful day here in Melbourne. It's 28 degrees, sunny, it's a Sunday, and I just thought I might as well share one of these Crippled Finger Cooks with you one more time, just to let you know it's nice and it's fun to do something for someone else. If you feel like cooking for someone else, you can make them a nice soup, pop it in a container, and just drop it off to them. It's a really easy lunch or a nice pre-dinner meal or pre-dinner entree to have prior to your meal. So I hope you've enjoyed my roasted cauliflower soup today, and I'd love to see your versions that you do. Now, if you're watching this live, can you please put a 1? Let me know where you're from. If you're watching the replay, please put a 2. And you can follow me on my LinkedIn channel. I'd love you to subscribe and help me grow my channel. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Facebook, and I hope to see you very soon. And remember to share your smile with someone new or someone that you love every day, because it'll make you feel great and it'll help them feel good too. Bye for now.